Welcome to our weekly program, The Inside Story of Chabad in America through the Mindel Archives. This program is a continuation of last week. Last week, we mentioned about the Frierdiker Rebbe, his Meseres Nefesh, when he came to America in 1940 together with Rabbi Chadekov and Rabbi Mindel. And when he sent Rabbi Mindel to Washington to succeed about the release time. And also we spoke about the opposition that he had from the Frum people and from the secular people. Now, what is release time? Release time means that once a week, the public school allows children to attend religious instruction somewhere else, not in the school. Meaning that every day, public school finishes at 3 o'clock. On Wednesday, once a week, with the Rishus, permission of the parents, they have to sign that they give permission for their children to go to religious instructions. So we take them to religious instruction. We pick them up from school about 2 o'clock, 5 to 2, and we take them to shul. And there was thousands of children. And so the Frierdiker Rebbe finally gave a bracha, and he wanted that. So Baruch Hashem, the New York legislator voted that public school can do that. This was not every state has it. So that's called release time. And Baruch Hashem, thousands of children became frum. I want to tell you a story, a personal story. In the 80s, I opened a release time in Long Beach, in Long Island. I saw my father-in-law, my in-laws live in Long Beach, so there are a lot of Jewish children that don't go to Hebrew school, nothing in public school. So I'll open it with the Rebbe's bracha. So we have a release time. Baruch Hashem, it was B'Hatzlocha G'dayla. So we picked him up. We came to shul, and we taught him. We divided the hour into 4 halakim, 4 parts. 15 minutes we learn, we said a story. 15 minutes the Parsha Shavua. 50 minutes was prayer, and 50 minutes was discussion. That's how we did it. A halacha. So one of the things that I taught them was girls should light Shabbos candles. The girls came back every week and they're happy. They knew the bracha, they knew the time. They were all happy. One girl came back and she started to cry. She says, my mother doesn't let me light the Shabbos candles. That week, I had a call from the mother. The mother says, Rabbi, I sent her to release time only to know the Jewish history, not to tell me what to do at home. So, okay. So I told the girl, I said, you know what? Don't light Shabbos candles. Don't. Maybe your mother will change her mind, but don't do it. If your mother tells you you should desecrate the Shabbos, then I would maybe talk to you different. But lighting candles is not like desecrating the Shabbos, so don't do it. Listen, there's a mitzvah also of kibud av va'im, honor your parents. Fine. So that's all I said. But she saw so many girls, they enjoyed the bracha, and she took it very seriously. What did she do? Without my knowledge and without the parents' knowledge, she went to the store, and to the grocery store, and she said, can I have a holy candle? So the storekeeper says, a holy candle? I never heard of it. Ask your mother. Of course, she's not going to ask her mother. But before she left, she called him back and says, I think I know what you mean. He took out a yahrzeit candle, and he gave it to her. She went, Friday, she went home. She knew the bracha. Her mother doesn't know. She went into her room. She had a room. And she made a bracha and she lit candle and she went to sleep. Can you imagine the picture? She's lying under the blankets and there's a yahrzeit candle. So, I don't know, was it in the middle of the night or in the morning? Her mother opened the door and she saw the yahrzeit candle. She saw I don't know, she fainted, but she started to scream. Her husband got up. And the girl got up. She said, what did you do? She said, when my mother passed away, I had this on. How come you did it? She says, Mother, I wanted to light. You didn't let me light. So I wanted to light for my sake, for me and for you. That's what she said. And so the mother, since then, I mean, this was the beginning of the mother felt like she didn't know how sincere this girl was. Anyways, this girl later on went to the Hebrew Academy. Later, I think she went to Camp Amuna. Later on, she got married. We're from Bachar. She's everything. This is an example of a child of a release time. So this is what the Frierdiker Rebbe wanted. And thousands of children became from release time. Now, the Frierdiker Rebbe asked Bachrim to take off Wednesday from learning to go to teach release time. He even asked Chaim Berlin Bachrim. He asked other Bachrim, not only from Chabad. He asked other yeshivas they should go help. So some of the Bachrim asked the Frierdiker Rebbe, I have it written down here, isn't it called Bittul Torah? If you tell us on Friday afternoon, after Seder, you understand. In the middle of the week, Wednesday, to take off, and it's not just an hour. Some people had to travel to the Bronx, some people had to travel to Staten Island, and so it's about an hour and a half before the release time. Then they release time an hour, and then an hour and a half coming back, and then they eat lunch. Most of the Wednesday was not learning. They couldn't learn the Seder. So they asked the Frierdiker Rebbe, is that right? This was the Chaim Berlin Bachrim, other Bachrim. I'm going to read you what the Frierdiker Rebbe answered them. So the Rebbe answered like this. It says, Chus, all angels, Malachim, in Gan Eden, are jealous of you, are jealous of all those that are involved in this mission to save Jewish children from kfirah, from atheism. And Treifet Talmud Teres, bringing the Shechina in proper Talmud Teres. And the Frierdiker Rebbe continued, the Chazal say, Kosho miso ruchnius yoiser mimiso gashminis. A spiritual death is worse than a physical death. We see it by Mitzrayim. When we see someone drowning or trapped in a burning home, and your friend can help to rescue from death, would you stand back? All more, Jewish children are drowning in the sea with kfirah. How can you stand back? All Bachrim should be involved. This was the Frierdiker Rebbe told him. And he continued, the Frierdiker Rebbe. All souls in Gan Eden, even the soul of Moshe Rabbeinu, are jealous of you because you have the opportunity to say Shema Yisrael, Hashem Elokeinu, Hashem Echad with young Jewish children. So we see the importance that even though they'll take off from Seder, they'll take off. But look what they accomplished. Children were drowning. And this is what the Rebbe told them, that it's worth it, it's important to go to release time. In 1970 later, the Rebbe, our Rebbe, sent a delegation shluchim to Washington, D.C. of a conference of children and youth. And this is, I have a badge over here. The Rabbi Nissim Mindel, he was one of the people. This was a White House conference of children. This is 1970. There was 1960 all the time. And the Frierdiker Rebbe, being the Manig HaElam, sent them and he instructed them three things. Number one, federal financial aid for parochial schools. Number two, opportunities for religious instruction. And number three, to separate the genders in school, raising moral ethics standards. And this was the Frierdiker Rebbe told him to do. I mean the Rebbe. And the shluchim then, this was in the time of President Eisenhower. This was 1960. Who were the shluchim that the Rebbe sent then? So Rabbi Hollander, Rabbi Mindel, Rabbi J.J. Hecht, everybody knows, and he was the head of the release time. give him a lot of credit what he did. Meiser Nefesh Mamish. And Rabbi Zalman Posner and Rabbi Uriel Zimmer. And Rabbi Gershon Jacobson went with them, but he was the correspondence. And these were the first shluchim that the Rebbe sent to Washington to break the ice of America. I mean, they went before. Rabbi Mindel went in 1940, as I read to you last time. And also by the 500 rabbis, he went more times. But actually, shluchim together, the Rebbe sent all of them to break the ice of America. This is what the Rebbe wanted. Now, from the notes of Rabbi Mindel, when he went to dictation, and this was around the time of Washington before they went, I don't know the date. So the Rebbe told Rabbi Mindel to give over to the other four shluchim that went to Washington, to Rabbi Hollander, to Rabbi Hecht, to Rabbi Posner, Rabbi Zimmer. What did he tell him? And I wrote this down here. And this is from Rabbi Mindel. Ihr seid Shluchim von Schwer. You are Shluchim from my father-in-law. Mit seine Keches to Washington. You Shluchim to Washington. Just like a nanos al gabi anok. A midget on top, a midget on top of a giant. Now, when you have a giant, he's a tall person, but he can see far. He's tall. But when you put a midget on top of his shoulders, he can even see further. So you are like a nanos al gabi anuk. And the ganze Meile, the whole thing of our generation, is because there is a previous generation. Because the Frierdiker Rebbe, Dor Hashishi. So in other words, the Rebbe told him that he should know. The Rebbe didn't put credit to him. He's following the Frierdiker Rebbe's, how the Frierdiker Rebbe started release time, how the Frierdiker Rebbe started everything in Washington. That we are Dor Hashvi, the mile is because there is a Dor Hashishi. Durchführen avoidas v'shlichas harishain, to accomplish what the previous generation did. And that's why I want to say whoever are shluchim now in Washington, Baruch Hashem, they paved the way. The shluchim before paved the way for the shluchim that are there today. And wherever shluchim are, there should be matzliach. And this is what the Rebbe wanted to bring Mashiach. And this what the Rebbe sent them is not only in Washington, it's all over the world, that we should try to be mekarev as many people as, and this we want as Mashiach, and Mashiach will come b'meir v'yomeinu, amen.